Okay, hello everyone. So this video is actually going to be an updated video showing you and talking about my collection spreadsheet. I have changed up things quite a bit um, since I last showed you. I don't remember when it was. I know the video is pretty old, and honestly, it didn't take me long to kind of implement some new things since my last video. A big change since the last one is that I actually started using Google Sheets instead of Excel. I figured because the Excel program I have on my computer will only be available as long as I'm a student at my school, and um, I only have one more semester left. So I figured I would switch everything over to Google Sheets kind of before it came to that point, if that makes any sense. And also, Google Sheets has kind of added some new features to kind of fit in everything that I wanted. So I figured it wouldn't be too big of a deal to change it up. But, anyways, the biggest change that I made, I have quite a few more like tabs down here. So I do have the same sheets of, girl groups I collect and boy groups I collect, but I did add solo artists and kind of completed collections because I figured that um, having these two areas integrated into these two was kind of skewing the data a little bit. So I decided it would be best to filter those things out because it is kind of more exact and precise that way. So yeah, this is just kind of the main data and the main things. Um, so yeah, those are just two new sheets I have. And then, I just have the basic totals of albums I own and need. This number of total albums I need is very low, and I'm really happy with it. So yeah, and I also decided to um, put this percent female and male that I have just because I thought it'd be interesting information to have. I don't necessarily, try to keep it even or try to collect, one over the other, but like I said, it's just interesting information to know. So I do still have, my new releases sheet. So yeah, this is generally just the exact same. So the only thing that's kind of different is I do have these right here. I have like the little, what's it called? List thingy where I can choose information. I just have it for artist and like the type of album it is. I don't really use it and it's not really that necessary to have in that sheet, but I don't know, I just added it. I don't know. I probably won't use it in the future. But as you can see, it's just, exactly the same, listing out everything that I need and want that has come out so far in the year. So, a main thing that has changed is that I now use these check boxes to say whether or not I have an album instead of using the different colors in this column. I just figure that's a lot neater and not as harsh on the eyes, if that makes any sense. Um, but yeah, so this is just everything. It's August when I'm filming this. It's August probably when you'll see this. Um, but yeah. So then moving on, I did do some changes. So basically, I have the group here, same thing. It's just basically the same thing. It just upgraded a little bit. So I did add MXM to this AB6 section just because, they're the same thing. Um, and then, like in this section right here where I have the date, the release date, I do actually have, like if I double click it, it will show like a calendar so I can choose the date instead of um, having to type it in every time. So yeah, and then I just have all of the, little sections as blue because I figure keeping everything as one color is just a lot easier to look at. So yeah, here's everything. And I don't include, I used to include albums that were in a group's discography, but I wasn't getting, and I would just, cross them out. But I decided to delete those albums from the like section instead of keeping them in there just because I figure if I'm not going to buy it, um, having them in there kind of stresses me out and makes me feel like I do need to eventually get it, even if I don't want to. So I figure since this is just something outlining my collection, I just want to have things listed that I actually want to own. So yeah, that's just where we are with this. And I only have sections for groups I for sure collect. So there's some groups that I have albums from that you don't see, and that's just because they are somewhere else. And then something else I added was this section right here is where I keep track of photo cards. So I just added this just for kind of reference. I do have my photo card sheet still down here, but I figured this is also a good way to keep track of it. So yeah, it's just a good way to keep track, like per era. And that is also something new that I added. And then I do have these columns phrased so that when I do want to come over here and update this, that I can just use this as reference. So I don't have to, keep going back and forth. It makes it a lot easier. So then my girl group sheet is generally the same. I have it, exactly the same actually. So yeah. And then I do have this here. I don't know if the photo card section is completely up to date. I haven't updated it recently. But yeah, so my solo artist section is the same. I do have, the different, like if it's a female artist, it's pink. If it's a male artist, it's blue. I just have that throughout the whole thing. And I have started adding, Hangul in parentheses because sometimes it is helpful when searching for things on different websites. So I figure if I have it in here, um, it would help because I don't obviously have like a Korean keyboard or anything like that. But yeah, that's everything. And I do also have the photo card section. There's a lot of, oh, this is totally wrong, and I will fix that, this section for Daniel. But generally, I don't necessarily collect for a lot of solo artists, and I'll just keep what I pull. So yeah. But this next sheet is my completed collections. And as you can see here, it says disbanded/inactive groups. So this is just basically everything that doesn't have anything that's going to be added to it, basically. Yeah, so just like, FX, IY, JWJ. I put Luna pre-debut in here just because having Luna's section look so big was kind of stressful to me. So I decided that I would split things up pre-debut and post-debut. That's obviously how I had it before, but I figured I would put this into my completed collection section because it just made it a lot easier for me to look at, especially since I do have this complete, as in like I have everything that I want for it. So yeah, and then there's everything else, just completed collections, disbanded groups. And then this section is different. So I just have other albums. So this is just kind of like random albums that I have from groups that I don't collect. And I do also have it sorted out by female and male. So I do put the artist and the like album title. And then I do have the male section. The male section's a little big compared to the female just because I did stop collecting 17. So yeah. Anyways, moving on. So this is my photo card sheet. This is generally the exact same as it was before. I did add this little graph up here. It's just kind of for reference, just to kind of see where I'm at. But yeah, so the only difference here would be like me adding new collections and maybe getting rid of older collections. So yeah, if we just take a look through here, and I do generally think this is the best way for me to keep track because, like up here in this area, it does generally keep track of how many I have. Um, it's not necessarily a number I need to know, but it's interesting information. But yeah, so my biggest thing with not wanting to use Google Sheets before was that they didn't have, the drop-down box to be able to um, keep track of what I have and what I don't have. So, yeah, that was a big thing for me because I wanted to just, have the easy, um, you know, if I have it, it one changes to green and two gets counted up here in this section and then also, up there. I'll just have to delete that. But that was a big thing for me. So yeah, this actually, I'm gonna change this because I am technically does not exist anymore. NBK boys, please debut soon because I miss my Kijun. I miss him dearly. But yeah, so this needs to be updated because I do have some Chaeyoung cards. But yeah, my NCT section is getting full. I need to update a lot of this. I was going to go through and update this before I filmed this, but I didn't. Obviously, I've been having trouble finding a good way to film this, so I just got to deal with what I got here. So, yeah, so that's everything, basically. So then, next sheet, my 48 group sheet. This is exactly the same as it was before. I didn't make any type of change to it. There's no real necessary change to make. I just added to it, of course. So yeah, this is just how I have this. So yeah, I do really like this sheet though. I like how it looks visually. And then this is a new sheet. This has nothing to do with my K-pop collection, but it is my vinyl collection. I decided I would add this in just because it is something I collect, and this sheet has a generic name of just collection. So vinyl is something I collect. It's the only other thing I collect. So I decided I would put it in here. It's obviously nothing interesting to any of y'all, but yeah. And then the last sheet I have here is actually something I just made for my own reference. So it's titled priorities. So this means just, like what are my priorities? So when I'm buying things, like what should I buy first? Um, I don't remember what this column is for, but I'm just gonna leave it alone. Um, like I genuinely don't remember why I did this. I'm trying to remember, but I just can't. Um, but anyways, um, this comes down to more when I'm a little bit tighter on money and I kind of have to make decisions on what I want to buy first. So my basic idea when it came to this was, oh, you know what? I think I know what that means. And I think this column means, does this group have anything that I need to buy? So like I know for a fact that Hotshot I need to get their step-by-step Japanese single, so like that's why it says yes there. And then Brave Girls, there's nothing I need to buy for them, so that's why it says no. If that makes sense. But when it comes down to it, so like the ones in red are my top priorities, and then it just kind of goes down from there in different like sections. So if Hotshot has something I need to buy, I would buy that before, buying something of New East or like Red Velvet or something like that. And then, say like I don't need anything from any of my top priority groups. That is most likely when I'd be able to buy something from these groups. And that is, like I said, this is basically more for when I'm a little bit tighter on money. Just because recently I've been buying a lot of things to kind of catch up on my collection, and that's just because I've been working more. That's just how it works. And when I'm working not so much, that's kind of what I'll go by. So even though I haven't been using this recently, it's still something good to have for reference and for future use. So yeah, that is basically it. I don't think there's anything else I really need to go over. I just did want to kind of outline the changes I've made and talk about my spreadsheet because it has changed quite a bit since the last time I've shown you guys. Um, I haven't necessarily added anything new recently because ever since, I kind of divided everything up and then kind of just made everything the way I wanted it, I found it to be perfectly fine. Like, I generally like the way I have it. I think it's simple enough to where I don't have to think too much when I'm kind of filling things in, and it does its main job of helping me keep track of everything. So, yeah, it doesn't really need to get any more complex or anything like that. Um, so I think that was everything I wanted to discuss. If you have any questions, you can definitely ask me. I don't know if anyone would be interested, but I know the last time I made one of these videos, I did leave a link to kind of a template. Um, and I can totally do that again because this is quite a bit different. I haven't updated the template that I made. But if you'd like that, you can let me know, and I would be happy to do that. I'd update the description with that if I do it. Um, that was everything. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.